Okay, today we're doing our deep dive into chapter 12 of Hebrews.
Right. And this chapter, it really kicks off with some powerful imagery.
It absolutely does. You're immediately dropped into this picture of a race, a specific path marked out just for us.
Mm. And the setting is pretty amazing, too, surrounded by this uh, great cloud of witnesses.
Like spectators who've already run their race.
Kinda, yeah. People of faith cheering us on. It sets the stage for the challenge.
Which is, pretty direct. Throw off everything that hinders, all the extra weight.
And the sin that gets tangled around our feet so easily.
So get rid of the junk. And
Then run. Run with perseverance. It's not a sprint.
Right. Endurance is key. But how? How do we do that? Shed sin, keep going.
The central command, the absolute focus point, is fix your eyes on Jesus.
He's called the author and perfecter of our faith, so looking at him is somehow the engine for this race.
Exactly. And it's not just a vague look at Jesus. The text tells us why and how. It details his experience. He endured the cross. He didn't just put up with the shame. He actively scorned it, looked down on it.
So a deliberate act of facing it down.
Yes. And because of that, the outcome was him sitting down at the right hand of God's throne. Exaltation after suffering.
Powerful. And we're told to consider him.
Consider him.
Oh.
Think about how he endured all that opposition, that hostility from sinful people.
And why should we consider that?
The text gives a very clear reason. So that you will not grow weary and lose heart.
So contemplating his endurance fuels ours, stops us from just giving up.
That's the idea. When you feel like quitting the race, look at the ultimate finisher.
Okay, that makes sense for external opposition. But what about, the internal struggle or just hardship in general?
Well, that's where the chapter takes a fascinating, maybe even surprising turn.
How so?
It points out that the original readers hadn't resisted sin to the point of shedding blood yet.
Okay.
And then it suggests they've kind of forgotten something, a word of encouragement that addresses them as sons.
Forgotten encouragement. How does encouragement fit with struggle?
This is where the theme of discipline comes in. It quotes this encouragement.
Which says,
"My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you.
okay, don't dismiss it, don't despair.
Because the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes everyone he accepts as a son."
Whoa. So hardship, tough times, maybe even rebukes. That's actually discipline, and it's a sign of being loved as a son.
Exactly. It completely reframes the experience. It's not random suffering or necessarily punishment in the way we think of it. It's training from a father.
That is a major perspective shift.
It is. And then it draws this stark contrast. If you aren't disciplined, and it says everyone who is a true child undergoes this, then it implies you're illegitimate children, not true sons.
Wow. So discipline is actually a mark of belonging. The absence of it is the worry.
That's the argument, yeah. It's quite countercultural, isn't it?
Definitely. And it uses an analogy, right? Earthly fathers.
It says, look, our human fathers disciplined us for a little while, kind of as they saw best, and we respected them for it.
Usually later, perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah. But the point is, we submitted. And then comes the rhetorical question.
If we did that for human fathers,
how much more should we submit to the Father of our spirits and live? Submission leads to life in this context.
And God's purpose and discipline is higher, too.
Far higher. Human fathers did what they thought best, maybe imperfectly. God disciplines us for our good, that we may share in his holiness.
Aimed at transformation, making us like him. That's a huge goal.
It is. But the text is realistic about how it feels in the moment.
It admits it's not fun.
Right. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. It acknowledges the immediate reality.
But there's a later on.
Yes. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who've been trained by it.
Trained by it. So it's not passive endurance. It's active training that yields results. Peace and righteousness.
That's the outcome. And this idea of training, of getting fit for the race, leads into some very practical instructions.
Okay, like what?
Strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Like, pull yourself together. Find strength.
Get back in the race posture.
Exactly. And then make level paths for your feet.
Level paths, why?
The reason given is specific. So that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed.
So it's not just about making it easier for yourself. It's about how your path affects others who might be struggling.
Precisely. Your progress should help, not hinder, those coming behind or alongside you, especially those who are weak or injured. community aspect.
Got it. So strengthen yourself, smooth the path for others. What else?
Then two major pursuits are highlighted. Make every effort to live in peace with all men and to be holy.
Peace and holiness. That sounds like a lifelong pursuit.
It is, and the holiness part comes with a very strong statement.
Which is?
Without holiness, no one will see the Lord.
That definitely raises the stakes. It's not an optional extra.
Not according to this, no. It's essential. And following that, we get some warnings. Pitfalls on the race course.
Like what?
First, missing the grace of God,
All right,
somehow
but-
falling short of it.
Okay.
Then, allowing a bitter root to grow up.
A bitter root. What does that mean?
It's described as something that springs up, causes trouble, and defiles many, like bitterness spreading and poisoning things.
Right, affects the whole community.
Mm-hmm. Then there's a warning against sexual immorality.
Okay.
And finally, being godless like Esau.
Ah, the Old Testament reference. What's the specific issue with Esau here?
It highlights his action, selling his inheritance rights, his birthright, for a single meal.
Trading something eternal for something temporary and physical.
That's the essence of it. He despised his spiritual inheritance for immediate satisfaction.
And the consequence.
It was final, afterward. When he wanted to inherit this blessing, he was rejected. He could bring about no change of mind, though he sought the blessing with tears.
Wow. A serious warning about choices that devalue what truly matters.
A very sobering example. And then, right after these warnings, the chapter makes this huge dramatic shift.
Right.
Using mountains.
Right, the contrast. First, what we have not come to.
Yes. A picture of Mount Sinai, the old covenant experience. Terrifying.
How so?
A mountain that could be touched but was forbidden. Burning fire, darkness, gloom, storm, a trumpet blast.
Sounds intense.
A voice speaking words so terrifying that people begged it to stop. Even an animal touching the mountain was to be stoned.
Total fear and distance. Unapproachability.
Exactly. Even Moses himself said, I am trembling with fear. That's the old picture.
But that's not what we've come to.
No,
Yeah.
but you have come to something radically
What
different.
is it?
Mount Zion, the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of the living God. Not earth, but heaven. Not fear, but celebration.
Wow. What else is there?
Thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly. The church, the firstborn believers whose names are written in heaven.
Okay.
God himself, the judge of all. And the spirits of righteous people made perfect.
It's like the ultimate destination, the party, the redeemed community gathered around God.
It's a picture of glorious access and communion, the complete opposite of Sinai's fear.
And who's at the center of this new reality?
Jesus. He's the mediator of this new covenant. And his sprinkled blood.
Sprinkled blood. It says it speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. What does that mean?
Abel's blood, after he was murdered, cried out from the ground for justice, for vengeance.
Right.
Jesus' blood, sprinkled in this heavenly reality, speaks of forgiveness, cleansing, access, reconciliation. It opens the way to God rather than demanding judgment from God. It's
Right.
the ultimate better word.
Forgiveness instead of vengeance. Access instead of distance. That's everything.
It really is. And because we've come to this reality through this mediator, there's another crucial warning.
About how we respond.
Yes, see to it that you do not refuse him who speaks. The voice speaking now is from heaven, offering this incredible access.
And refusing is serious.
Extremely. It draws a comparison. If those who refused the warning on earth at Sinai didn't escape judgment.
Then, how much more serious is it if we turn away from the one warning and inviting us from heaven? The stakes are higher because the revelation and the access are so much greater.
That makes sense. Higher privilege, higher responsibility.
And it connects back to God's voice. At Sinai, his voice shook the earth.
Yeah.
But now there's a promise looking forward. Once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens.
Whoa, a cosmic shaking. Sounds alarming.
It does, but the purpose is explained immediately. The phrase once more signifies the removal of what can be shaken.
Meaning created things, temporary things.
Exactly, created things so that what cannot be shaken may remain. It's a refining process to reveal the eternal.
Ah, so the shaking isn't just destruction, it's purification. It leaves behind the permanent reality.
That's the idea, and that leads directly to the final conclusion of the chapter.
Okay, what's the takeaway?
Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, given everything we've just heard about Mount Zion, Jesus, the unshakable reality.
Our response should be thankfulness. Gratitude for receiving something so solid, so eternal, especially when everything else might be shaken.
That feels right. And thankfulness leads to
Worshipping God acceptably with reverence and awe.
reverence and awe. Not casual, but not terrified like at Sinai either. Awe-filled gratitude.
Precisely. And the final reason given is a powerful reminder. For our God is a consuming fire.
Bringing back that sense of his holiness and power, but now in the context of grace and an unshakable kingdom.
Exactly. It balances the invitation and access with the profound reality of who God is.
Man, from running the race through discipline understood as love, past the pitfalls like Esau, away from the terrifying mountain.
To the heavenly Jerusalem, the unshakable kingdom, access through Jesus' better-speaking blood. It's quite a journey in one chapter.
It really is. It covers so much ground, giving practical steps, but also this huge cosmic perspective.
It grounds our present struggles in an ultimate unshakable hope.
So, thinking about all this, maybe for you listening, what does it really mean day to day to live knowing that difficulties might actually be training from a loving Father? Does that change how you face things? And how does knowing you've come to this heavenly, accessible Mount Zion, not the scary one, shape your view of and the challenges in your race? Maybe just reflect on how that better word of Jesus' blood really changes everything.